All right, so this live stream is going to be a very gentle and slow live stream into using Xcode for iOS because there's some things I'm doing in the near future with large language models and iOS. So I figured I would use this as an opportunity to kind of refamiliarize myself with some of the stuff that's going on with the Xcode ecosystem and do a little bit each week to just kind of build something, and then maybe in a couple months or something I'll build some stuff that has a large language model in it. So let's first off start with something really simple here. So I've got this example here that has Xcode pulled in. And I guess maybe the first thing to do is just to kind of kick the tires on the environment here and see what's going on. So, this is a new project. And this left window here, we have this pane and we can kind of explore it here. So what do we got? We have the application here, which shows us the actual application, and doesn't look like a ton of code either. This is pretty small here. And this thing is able to then also communicate with the content view. And then this is where we actually have this render right here. So if I just start to blindly look at this, we can see that this one first imports the Swift UI, and we have an @main, and the name of the app that I created, which is Livestream 1 app. It has a body here that has window group content, and it calls content view. And then inside of content view, it's this thing here. And then there's a view, and we can see that this is doing the work. So we can just say, instead of hello world, we can just say hello live stream. If I save it, what's neat is that it actually automatically shows it for me. And I guess just to kind of play around with this a little bit, I can look at all these different icons. So that's selectable, variants, device settings, preview on device. So if I click on that preview on device, what does this do? It doesn't really let me do it. But I guess I could also go to the build, which if we click on this icon, this says start the active scheme, and let's see what happens. So it says build successful. And if I remember correctly, it's been a little bit of time. There we go. Yeah, the simulator will open up. So once we have the simulator opened up, a few things that we can do. We could take a picture of it, which is one thing. So save the screen. You could also go home, which shows the home icon here. And then if we want to reopen the app, we can open up the app. So pretty nice little simulator here. And if we want to rotate, we can rotate, which is pretty cool. And it actually does a rotation all the way around the world so that we have the original view back. And then if I want to close it, we've got this closed view. So that was actually pretty useful to be able to play around with that. And then if we look at this, it's going to show us, I suppose, how much the actual the application was actually using, which it looks like a very tiny amount of memory and no disk or network. And then CPU was 0. So I guess it drops you into this view where you can actually see everything that's going on, which is pretty cool. So it's been several years, multiple. It's almost been 10 years since I started doing anything with iOS. So some of this will be interesting to get back into. This looks like this just automatically gets populated once you open up the profiler, which is pretty cool. It looks like a neat little new feature. And if I go back to this view here, this brings me back to the code view. So I guess I can say show the project navigator. That's one view. So this is source control view. This is a hierarchical view that I guess shows you in code you can walk through, which is pretty interesting. We also can search for different things inside of here. We can look at, I'm a scene, what is this thing? Oh, issues. This is a test plan. And this is the debug navigator. Oh, I see. That's the debug navigator. I see. And then this is some kind of breakpoints. And then this one is the report navigator. So if I go back to the code view, we can see not only do we have these, the content view here, but there's even a test as well. So this is the business logic test, which is, I guess, created by default. And I guess they give you some things that have nothing inside of there yet. So this would be the setup. This would be the teardown. So for example, if you're going to communicate with, let's say, the database, right? Maybe you would have some setup connection here that would create a database connection. And then after you're done with your test, you would tear down the database connection, let's say to the local SQLite database. And then here's where you would then do some kind of action inside of there. And then here's another one, maybe a performance test. So this is a pretty good setup here. And then in terms of UI tests, this one is maybe more applicable because the UI does almost nothing here, but you put some setup code here. And then this one says UI test must launch the application that they test. So use XCode and related functions to verify. So I guess this is just launching, and I guess this measure. So how would I run this test though? That's a great question. Is that the continue program execution? So it would be interesting to see how to actually run these tests here. If I right click on it, does it let me run the tests? If I right click, I don't see a way to do that. If I right click here, if I go to the debug window, product window, here we go, test, product test, build successful. So it's running the tests, waiting for clone, testing, launching, testing. So I guess it's got to do some kind of additional installation potentially to get this test working. But this is probably a good shell to explore more about what I'm trying to do. And you can see here at the top, it does appear to be doing something. It's hard to, I wish I could make it bigger though. Testing live stream UI tests. Maybe there's some kind of setup or something that's happening. It's hard to 100% know here if this is doing exactly what I would like. Testing live stream UI test. That's what I thought it would be doing, but it just seems to be hanging here. So what's interesting? Oh, there we go. Target membership. So it's tough to know. Bring all to front. Yeah. I'm not sure if this was doing exactly what I am expecting it to do. So we can say stop. Test complete. So I'll have to dig into that a little bit more, but I think as just a first kick in the tires here, I'll probably stay with this setup here and just slowly start to build a very, very tiny kind of hello world application next time. And then again, the goal here is within a couple months, I want to build something that includes a large language model. So for now, I just today wanted to just get something working, which is a hello world, which I did get working, and we'll call it a day. All right, see you in a week.